Week 13 in the NFL, and you're watching Picks with David. Thanks for joining me as we start our 5-game picks for this weekend in Week 13 of the NFL season for 2023. Game number 1 is the 8-3 Detroit Lions at the 5-6 New Orleans Saints. And both of these teams had bright outlooks at the beginning of the season, and so far Detroit has lived up to the hype. New Orleans has not. With the addition of Derek Carr, the New Orleans Saints offense has stalled from time to time. They just haven't seemed to execute and put their full game plan together. I don't know if they'll be able to do that against Detroit's defense, which is the weaker part of their game. The New Orleans Saints defense is going to have its hands full today against the Detroit Lion offense. With the Lions going on the road, I think there's a chance that New Orleans could wake up today after a disappointing week against the Falcons last week, but I'm pretty sure the Detroit Lions get the win today in New Orleans. Game number 2 is a game I'm sure nobody had on their radar going into this season. A pair of 6-5 teams in the Denver Broncos at the Houston Texans. The Texans have played above and beyond expectations this year, and Denver, which started off horribly this season, has won 5 straight games. And so now, as they have rebounded into this season, the defense is playing much better. They're not turning the ball over in Denver as much as they did earlier in the season. The running game has come alive, and Russell Wilson is starting to cook. While on the other side, C.J. Stroud is the front runner for the MVP of his team, but also the Rookie of the Year in the offensive side of the ball. So you've got his team coming in here to play against the Denver Broncos. Both these teams with the same record. I've got to give the edge at this point to the Denver Broncos, and the reason why is because Sean Payton, while, they struggled earlier in the year, he's an experienced coach. He's got an older team. The Texans are a very young team with a first-year head coach, and granted, probably the coach of the year in DeMeco Ryans. He's got the Rookie of the Year at quarterback. He's got a pretty strong running game when they decide to utilize it, because they have been pass happy most of this season. The defense has played well, but I just think that despite my wanting Houston to win this game, I think that Denver will win the game based on their experience and their, having a seasoned team that's been fighting back from a poor record. I like Denver and Houston today. Game number 3 is America's Game of the Week. Probably the best game of the weekend. This has all of the makings for the playoff positioning coming up. The 8-3 San Francisco 49ers at the 10-1 and defending NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles. Now the Cowboys are going to be watching this game very closely, as they really need San Francisco to get the win against Philadelphia, and hopefully Philadelphia isn't looking ahead to next week's matchup with Dallas. But we sure know that Dallas is after their victory on Thursday. The top 3 teams in the mix in the NFC, and the one we'll talk about here is the San Francisco 49ers at 8-3. They lost 3 straight games when they were injured and not healthy. They're at full strength now. There's been a lot of trash talking this week between the two teams because, Philadelphia and San Francisco played in the NFC Championship game last year. Brock Purdy got hurt, and it was all downhill from San Francisco. But the 49ers were putting on a game against the Eagles prior to the injury, and now we'll get to see what that looks like, barring an injury again in the game. So the 49ers lost the 3 straight games, but now they've rebounded. They're back on top in the NFC West. They have a very good offense led by Brock Purdy. He has an array of weapons around him, and the defense is one of the best in the league. For the Eagles, Jalen Hurts is the front runner for MVP of the NFL right now. They have a very good, balanced offense with the running game of Swift in the backfield. And then, they probably have the best wide receiver in the NFL this year in A.J. Brown. The defense has been playing up to snuff, just enough to keep them in games, because it feels like the Eagles have given up quite a bit of points against some of the better teams in the league. They're coming off a game where they gave up 30 points plus to the Buffalo Bills. They did the same thing earlier in the year against Washington, both games that Washington played them. And so if there is a weak link in either of these teams, I think it could be the Eagles' defense. But because they're playing at home, I have to give the edge to the Eagles to win this game and stay on top in the number one spot in the NFC. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to win today in Philly. Sunday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs at 8-3, and Patrick Mahomes makes his first visit to the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau Field at 5-6. Now, the Packers have started to come back to earth here. They were really bad earlier in the season after starting out decently, but their offense has come alive. Jordan Love has started to look the part of the franchise quarterback for Green Bay going forward. While they'll be without Aaron Jones, they've still got A.J. Dillon to run the football. They'll have to rely a lot on their defense to hold down this offense that's starting to awaken for Kansas City. But I think that Kansas City's defense will have the answers for the Packers, and I'll take the Kansas City Chiefs at Lambeau Field on Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football is the 5-6 Cincinnati Bengals at the 8-3 Jacksonville Jaguars. In a game that would have been probably a playoff preview had Joe Burrow remained healthy, the Bengals have started to fall off over the last couple of weeks, while Jacksonville is ascending in their division, the AFC South. Jacksonville is still in line for the possibility to get the number one overall seed in the AFC, so they can't afford any mishaps against a team that's not at full strength. Cincinnati goes on the road to Jacksonville, and without Joe Burrow, they're starting John Browning. Browning has been effective, if not spectacular. He's no Joe Burrow, and while they have weapons in Joe Mixon running the ball, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, the defense has started to slide a bit. I don't think there's any way that Cincinnati can win the game in Jacksonville. I'll take the Jacksonville Jaguars to win on Monday Night Football. So there you have it. Week 13 Picks with David here on YouTube and Facebook. Thanks for watching the video. Please be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of my picks as we go through the NFL season. And we'll see you again next time right here.